Hi, I'm Marty Cohn, and welcome to episode 31 of Rotary Cares, an award-winning monthly show that will tell you everything you need to know or want to know about Rotary International and more. Rotary is a global network of 1.2 million neighbors, friends, leaders, and problem solvers that come together to make positive, lasting change in communities at home and abroad. Established over 115 years ago, Rotary now has over 35,000 clubs all over the world. Rotary's motto is service above self, and Rotarians adhere to the four-way test, a nonpartisan and non-sectarian ethical guide for Rotarians to use for their personal and professional relationships. The test has been translated into more than 100 languages, and Rotarians recite it at their club meetings. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? In Brattleboro, there are two Rotary clubs, the Brattleboro Rotary Club that meets every Thursday at noon, and the Brattleboro Sunrise Rotary Club that meets every Wednesday at 7:30 in the morning. During COVID, both clubs meet via Zoom. Our guests today are past District 7870 Governor Venu Rao, representing the Hollis-Brookline, New Hampshire Rotary Club, and Lawrence Penna, also known as Lon, Secretary of the Niskayuna Rotary in Schenectady, New York. Today, we will be discussing international service. Welcome, past District Governor Venu.
Thank you, Marty.
So, Venu, you have been someone who's done so much for Rotary as past District Governor, and you continue to do it. But I have to ask you, how long have you been involved with Rotary?
Marty, I joined Rotary in December 2010, so it's 10 years this month.
Wow. And you've done a lot in those 10 years. Now, do you remember, why did you join in the first place?
Well, I wish I could give you some lofty answer like I wanted to change the humanity. But when I joined, I had no idea what Rotary was. A friend of mine, she invited me to join her for one of her meetings. And I went to the meeting and I found very, very friendly bunch of people. And the breakfast was not that bad, so I joined the Rotary.
Okay, we're glad we're glad that you did. I mean, that's and the food's being a good part about being a Rotarian. Unfortunately, during these COVID times, we're missing out on our food a little bit. But hopefully we'll return to that day soon. So Venu, when and where does the Hollis-Brookline Rotary Club meet?
When we were meeting physically, we used to meet at Hollis Town Hall, and we're a breakfast meeting. We meet at 7:30, and it goes up to exactly 8:30, no matter what we stop.
Okay, all right, that's great, and I hope that you get back to your breakfast there.
Hope so.
All right, so international service is a big part of Rotary. Your club is involved with a Rotary Global Grant project in India. Can you tell us about your involvement?
Sure, absolutely. You know what? Let me give you a little background as to not just my club. You know, our district has done 34 global grant projects in the last 6 years to the tune of over $3.2 million with 16 different countries. And it's making a positive impact in more population than the total population of New Hampshire and Vermont put together. And as a small part of that, my club, Hollis-Brookline Rotary Club, we have done quite a few global grant projects. My first project was global grant project. We did PV solar panel electricity for poor boys and girls hostels, 19 of them in a state called Tamil Nadu in India. while I was doing that project, I read a report by World Health Organization. It said in the city I lived in India, Bangalore, in the outskirts of the city, there were communities where 1 out of 5 children were not reaching the age of 5 for lack of potable water. So when I came back, I worked with my Rotary clubs here, raised some funds, and we did 15 commercial water purification plants, and it's serving more than 80,000 people in that area now. So the third big project we have done in India is a literacy project, and truly big one. It's about 365 schools. We have modernized them at a global grant project of $386,000. And it's serving more than 300 high school children and continue to serve every year. But recently, in 2018, we have started a project called Check Dam Project. This is to know what a check dam is. You know, in the Northern Hemisphere, the water that gets in our rivers is the runoff from the melting snow. Whereas in Southern Hemisphere, the water that comes into the rivers is from the runoff from the rains in the upper lands and in the mountains. So in India specifically, it's the monsoons that bring the water to the rivers. So after a monsoon season is over, after about a couple of months after monsoon season, all the tributaries that bring the water into the river, they dry up. So the farmers living along the tributaries, they'll be hoping for another rain or something like that. And if there are no rains, they go into drought and they'll be looking for a living, and they move to cities, looking for jobs, end up in slums. So Rotary in India has taken up this project called Check Dams. These are very simple, inexpensive dams. They're over 5 to 8 feet tall. They built at the mouth of the tributary. So during the monsoon season, the water is so much, it fills up to the dam and overflows into the river. But after the rains, the water table stays about 78 feet all the way back up to a kilometer or 2 kilometers and becomes a huge pond or a lake. This saturates, this keeps the land saturated, helps the farmers, animals, trees, birds, everything comes back to life. And with a very inexpensive $53,000 global grant project, we are building 3 such check dam projects. And these are going to help more than 25,000 farmers, which comes out to be about 100,000 population along those tributaries that do not have to migrate to cities looking for jobs.
Venu, that is, it's inspiring to hear the work that you're involved in. I just want to go back one step in something that you said. When you talk about Rotary Global Grants,
right,
and you said that it was $56,000.
Mm-hmm.
That, how did you come up with that $56,000? How does that work?
Oh, the $56,000 were done by evaluating the cost of building and maintaining the 3 check dams. Once we know it's a $56,000, then we work backwards. And this was done before July 1st, 2020. So even the Rotarians' money was matched by the foundation. So all we had to do was, if we raised just $10,000, it became $45,000 because of all the matchings. So that's what we did. My club gave $5,000. We went and talked to about another 4 or 5 clubs. Actually, one of my exchange students from Denmark, now she's doing her postgraduate degree in law. She went and talked to her club, and Copenhagen Rotary Club got involved, and they contributed. So in no time, we raised $50,000 budget, and that'll be done.
So what Rotary has enabled you to do is really leverage the money.
Yep.
So that it becomes, so you could take a project in India for $56,000, but you work it back. Your club started it, seeded it with the 5,000, and it grew to 56,000.
Right.
And the other thing I just want to emphasize that you said the district itself has been involved in a number of global grants, and
Yes.
it's happened the same way, right?
Yep, exactly. Every project, some Rotarian gets an idea, their club gets involved, they go and propose the project to the other clubs, and we all contribute 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, and with the magic of the Rotary Foundation, it becomes 80,000.
Venu, thank you so much. That's fantastic. Now I have to ask you, last question for you is, what's the best thing for you about being a Rotarian? And don't tell me it's the breakfast.
No, it's not a breakfast. Now it's totally different. Now that I've been working in this area, let me share my personal experience. This water purification plants that we established in India, we finished that project like in 2018 or so. In 2019, I was visiting Bangalore. A Rotarian friend called me and said, Venu, why don't you come and I'll show you one of these water filtration plants. So I go there and he's explaining me all the 6 stages of filtering, the technology, everything. And then this lady walks in with a 20-liter bottle, because that's how they dispense the clean water. And my friend turns to her, pointing to me, tells her, this is the gentleman responsible for this water purification plant. So the lady looks at me, leaves the bottle on the floor with a huge grin from ear to ear. She walks up to me and gives me a big hug and saying something in her language, the local language, which I don't speak. So my friend translates to me. He says, she's saying, now she's not worried about her children getting sick or dying. So now I'm thinking, can you imagine a mother constantly living in a fear that her children could die any day and no recourse for her? So while I was trying to hold my tears back, at the same time, I was counting my blessings for being part of all of you here, who probably will never see this lady, nor the 80,000 people whose lives they touched, but they made this happen. So the lady was not just hugging me, he's hugging every of my Rotarian friend here. So I tell you, that feeling you get there is you can't explain in words. So what I can tell you though is, never ever in my life, I ever thought that what I do has made such a great impact in someone's life whom I never knew. And you know what? Every Rotarian has that power. And our secret weapon is our Rotary Foundation. And that's why I'm in Rotary.
Past District Governor Venu Rao, thanks for taking the time to be on the show, and thank you for all that you're doing.
Thank you, Marty. I appreciate what you're doing too. Great.
We'll be right back with our guest, Lon Penna. But first, this brief message from Rotary International about what Rotary International is, its history, its accomplishments, and its goals. We'll be right back.
In 1905, a guy by the name of Paul Harris started a club so professionals with diverse backgrounds could exchange ideas, form friendships, and give back to their communities. Rotary's name came from the group's early practice of rotating meetings among the offices of its members. They were committed to service and not afraid to dream big. Today, that club now has 1.2 million members. In 1952, 58,000 cases of polio were reported. Over 3,000 died, and 21,000 were left with paralysis. We began our fight against polio in 1979 with a project to immunize 6 million kids in the Philippines. We went to Mexico, immunized 13 million children. Then we went to South America, Central America. One nation after another became polio-free. We raised $1.6 billion to end polio and teamed with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, World Health Organization, UNICEF, CDC. With our efforts, we even arranged a 4-day ceasefire in the Civil War in the Sudan so we could go in and immunize the children, nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. Today, there are less than 20 people in the world with the disease. We broadened our goals. We set sights on providing not only vaccines, but clean water, sanitation to nations across the globe. We built thousands of WASH programs in over 100 countries, $3 billion on life-changing sustainable projects. We support education. We give scholarships and grants to people who fight for the same beliefs. We give over $7.5 million away yearly. We use terms like service above self. We believe in doing good. We want to make the world a better place. We dream big and have a powerful heart. We're neighbors, friends, leaders, problem solvers who see a world where people unite and take action to create change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. What are we going to battle next? Who's our opponent? We're a team of 1.2 million people and eager to fight. And like Paul Harris stated, whatever Rotary may mean to us, to the world, it'll be known by the results it achieves.
Welcome back to Rotary Cares, a monthly award-winning show that demystifies Rotary International. Our guest is Lawrence Penna, also known as Lon, Secretary of the Niskayuna Rotary in Schenectady, New York. Welcome, Lon.
Thank you for having us, Marty. Thank you for having me.
All right, well, Lon, all the way from the Niskayuna, I love saying that, Rotary in Schenectady, New York. Lon, how long have you been involved with Rotary?
I joined in '88, so that makes it 32 years.
Whoa, okay, well, that's a long time. Now, I'm going to really test your memory here, Lon. Do you remember why you joined?
I do, exactly, and it's that four-way test that you read at the beginning of the program. I was impressed by the ethics that Rotary held dear. In fact, it's even on this coffee mug. Oh, it's not showing on the background, but it's on, yes, the four-way test. So it was the ethics. And the second thing was I noticed a room full of prominent people, business owners, bank presidents, and they would strap on aprons to serve pancakes to their community. That was the second reason, the ethics and the service.
Two excellent reasons, and we're glad that you did. So the Niskayuna Rotary Club, when and where does it meet?
Well, we're normally a breakfast club, but during Zoom, we're meeting 7 p.m. on Mondays.
Okay, that's great. Now we just learned about the work of the Hollis-Brookline, New Hampshire Rotary Project in India. We also heard about the Rotary International Foundation and how it works. In what international service project is the Niskayuna Rotary involved?
Quite a number of them, especially over the years. And for this show, I was counting them up. Believe it or not, we've done 8 international projects since COVID. That's one a month practically. And I'd love to share, we won't have time to cover it all, but I'd love to share the tools of what we use to make these possible. So therefore, I'd like to give you I'd like to give your listeners our Niskayuna email. It's niskyrotary@gmail.com. So that's NISKY, niskyrotary@gmail.com. So now your listeners can reach out to us and learn more about each one of these. We've got a Mooncatcher Global Grant. What a Mooncatcher is, it was invented right here in Schenectady. And it enables girls to handle their menstruation. They're inexpensive, they're only $5. They are washable, long lasting. They last for many years, right through a girl's school career. And they don't require the girls to wear underwear. So that makes them rather unique. So we're doing a global grant for those. Also this year, we provided some laptops for Haiti. Here's another tool for the listeners. If you go to AFTRR.com, you can see across the US where there are people refurbishing laptops. We get ours locally right here in Schenectady for $11 each. And we fill them up with, we don't just send laptops, empty boxes, we fill them up with software, educational software. We get those from 2 sources primarily. One is from earthteamwork.com, which is a project of Rotarian Frank Quinn, and from learningequity.com, learningequity.org. And they encompass Khan Academy video lessons. You may have heard of those. And they encompass Wikipedia. And both of those are available in all languages. That's great. A third project this year is microloans. And we did it two ways. One is we use kiva.org, where you give a $25 loan. You pick somebody you want to give it to, you give a $25 loan. It gets paid back, you pick someone else. So our club over the years has put in about $3,000 at $25 a pop, but we've given about $7,000 in loans. People all across the world. This year, when we explained micro loans to one of our newer members, she gave $10,000 to the village she grew up in Nigeria. And the Rotarians, we put her in contact with the Rotarians down there. There's another tool. Every Rotarian should know that there's an app called Club Locator. So we found a club near her, and they helped her set it up. Now, let me stop there for a minute, because those three things are all lead to educating girls. And we've come to believe that that's the number one way to end poverty, is to educate women, and why is that? We've all heard that if you give a man a fish, he eats for a lifetime. But if you give him a fishing pole, you give a man a fish, he eats for a day. But if you give him a fishing pole, he eats for a lifetime. But we believe that if you give a woman a fishing pole, then her family is uplifted and her community is uplifted for generations. So that's the thing we want to concentrate on. And we do it in those three steps. First, the moon catchers, so they can handle their menstruations. Second, education, and that's where the laptops come in. And we also can put that same education on a $7 micro SD card that the folks down there, as cell phones, smartphones are becoming ubiquitous, they can install them right on their smartphones, so the teachers can have a really high class education in even the rural areas. Another way you can help with education is there's a Rotary Club of Parole near Washington, D.C. They will ship 8 tons of library books, school books, to any port in the world for only $1,000. Now, how's that for an inexpensive Rotary project? It costs them more for the shipping, and you can learn about that at bigbooks.org, big-books.org, Rotary Club of Parole. And when we shipped our container, even though we gave 1,500 more than they wanted, we thought they shouldn't have to do all the pancake breakfasts. We ought to help out a little bit more. So, and then the third thing is the microloan. So again, the way to end poverty is to educate women. Mooncatcher, education, microloans. The microloans allow them to support their families with the idea, and we give them the ideas as well, vocational ideas, which are also on the micro SD cards and on the laptops. So they have to have the ideas, and they have to have some funding, some startup capital. And the startup capital, it repeats over and over. So I said we did 8 projects this year, so I mentioned 3. The next one is for COVID. One of our youngest members is from Romania. So he did a global grant in record time. We had to because of COVID, you had to go fast. And he provided ventilators. He's our youngest member, and it was, he raised $49,500. And just like Venu was just telling us, our club put in just a small fraction of that. It's the magic of Rotary that allowed, I mean, what could this young man do if the folks back home asked him for ventilators? I mean, he could shrug, where's he gonna come up with that kind of money? But through the magic of Rotary, he could do it. So that's the 4th one. The 5th one was COVID masks. One of our members, from Nigeria, she grew up in extreme poverty. I'm not saying just barefoot, she didn't have clothes. She knew hunger. She'd have to go to bed without food for days sometimes. Her father had 14 wives. She doesn't know how many brothers and sisters she has. So when she was 12, her father wanted to have her marry a 65-year-old man, and she ran away, and she ended up coming to the US. She's now citizen. She's a home care nurse. She's the one who donated $10,000 for the microloans. Her name is Alice, and we call her Awesome Alice. So she's a new member. We just met her in March, and we explained to her how Rotary could do a COVID mask project for her village. She said that in her village, there was an edict that you had to wear a mask. That meant farmers couldn't go to their fields. That meant girls could not fetch water. So what she did, this was astounding. On one day, day one, she sent $500 to her village. On day two, her sisters went shopping. They bought the fabric. They bought the sewing machines and hired 5 tailors. On day 3, they made 500 masks. And on day 4, pre-dawn, they distributed them to the churches and mosques. And on that day, they provided a final report with all the receipts, photos, videos. Now, and it's in her village that we're going to be doing this Mooncatcher Global Grant. That's one we're still raising money for. So that's why I know this project is going to go really well. She's already demonstrated it on the small scale. We're going to do very well on large scale. The next project was eyeglasses through the Lions Club and Glenville Rotary. They gave us 2,000 pair of eyeglasses. One of our members is an eye doctor, Dr. Fox. He showed us how to sort them. And we shipped 2,000 pairs to Nigeria. Seeds for Peace, that's a local Rotary project of a local Rotary project here, Burn Hills, Balsam Lake. And they send seed packets for free around the world. They like, it's nice if you can help them out with the shipping, which is really their only expense. But if they get a request from anywhere in the world for seeds, they'll provide them for free. And the 8th project was a fellow who found out about our club, told us about farmers needing irrigation pumps, asked for $300, and we gave him $300. And he has since said he wants to join our club. So those were our 6 projects.
That was, I got to say,
our 8 projects.
That's really impressive. Let me ask you, what do you have, like 100 members?
No, 20.
20 Rotarians working together, using the resources, and look at what you've accomplished and that's just 8 projects.
Right.
That's just this year. I am sure the Niskayuna Rotary has done projects before this year. That's fantastic. Really talks about the power of Rotary.
Yes.
And yes. The other thing that you talked about is the resources that are available for Rotarians to use to, you get an idea and you can find out about all the wonderful things that Rotary can help make sure that idea is accomplished.
Right. I'm sure you picked up on a lot of what we did was using other Rotary clubs and the projects that they have.
So a great resource for Rotarians is to take the time to actually go to the Rotary website, rotary.org. And I know it's a little bit cumbersome, but there's actually a lot of information there, and a lot of clubs like yours share their ideas. So you can, it's a wonderful network to do.
That's why you don't want to pass up the opportunity to go to a district conference or an international convention, or to go to Rotary Leadership Institute. And don't forget to mingle. You may be there with a bunch of your buddies, but have dinner, but the rest of the day, chat with people, share ideas. I told one woman, or I was having a conversation with one woman, and I asked her, when I found out she was in education, have you ever heard of Khan Academy? She said, she contacted us a few years later and said that transformed that one suggestion transformed the education system of her entire country. She was coming to America to get a reward. Our club president, Dave Hitchcock, asked her, what else would you like? And she said, books. And that's when we got on the phone with the Rotary Club of Parole, bigbooks.org. Hey, Steve, could you ship a container of books? But it's those connections. Rotary connects.
Fantastic. All right, Lon, last question for you. What's the best thing for you about being a Rotarian?
Well, I probably should have a story like Venu had.
No one can have a story like me. That my heart is still beating from that story. But go ahead.
But it's funny, my mind's kind of gone blank, but what I can say is that I've had the same experience. Well, I guess to be honest, it's the fellowship and being with great people doing great things, doing the work of Rotary. Mankind is our business. And I've also come to learn just recently, or taken seriously, the concern with the global crisis. And it's interesting that the global scientists rank women's education as number 6, ahead of solar, ahead of electric cars. So they're telling us that as the ice melts, Cambridge, Massachusetts is going to be abandoned. Oakland, California, 80% of New York City by the end of this century. So what can we do? We can educate women. So before we were doing it because we felt in our hearts, just like Venu said, that we can help these people who are living in horrible conditions. But now there's a second reason, a selfish reason. It takes care of the climate change. It helps solve the climate crisis.
And as you know, that's become a new focus area for Rotary International.
Yeah.
Lon, thank you so much for being on the show, and thank you for all that you and your fellow Rotarians at your club, the Niskayuna Rotary, are doing. All the 19 others. Fantastic.
That's just this year.
That's just this year. All right. Well, I'd like to thank our guest, past District Governor Venu Rao and Lou Penna. By the way, I usually give a shout out to Kevin Yeager, a past president of the Sunrise Rotary Club, for doing all the magic behind the cameras. And I look forward to the day we can actually return to the BCTV studio. Speaking of BCTV, I'd like to thank BCTV for recognizing the Rotary Clubs of Brattleboro as the 2018 Nonprofit Member of the Year, and breaking news, recognizing me as the 2020 Host of the Year. And a special thanks to Brian Brashaw for helping us bring this show to you. If you have any questions, concerns, or ideas for future topics, send them to info@brattleboro-rotary.org. That's info@brattleboro-rotaryclub.org. I'm Marty Cohn. Thanks for watching.